Hello, I'm Graham and welcome to Jaws 19. Now this isn't a normal kind of discussion video about what film I'm going to see or what film I haven't seen or anything like that. Today I'm going to answer the questions that you have lovingly sent me on Twitter. So yeah, without further ado, let's get on with it. Okay, so our first question comes from John Dredge, and John simply asks, who am I? John, I don't know. That feels like a deep and existential question to get us started with. So yeah, I feel you need to look inside yourself to find out who you are. But thanks for your question, John. This next question's from the wonderfully named Biscuit Trousers, and Biscuit Trousers asks, what's your favourite sound? It's this. Our next questioner is Mo, and Mo has sent in multiple questions. First of which is your favourite childhood gift and which is your favourite adult gift? Now, my favourite childhood gift was probably when I got my first tape recorder. Google it if you're under 20. Yeah, I got a tape recorder and some blank tapes, and that enabled me to very illegally record the charts and to record things off the radio and to record my own voice, which is something I've never got used to listening back to. And my favourite gift I've ever received as an adult would probably be my Back to the Future hat, which is up there on the shelf. Okay, that's the first question that Mo sent in. Second part of the question is, what's my best childhood memory? Now, one of my best childhood memories is actually cinema linked. It would be seeing Jungle Book at the cinema. Now, it was in the 80s, so it must have been a re-release because the original film came out in the 60s. But yeah, I have fond memories of being taken to see Jungle Book at the cinema with my dad, and he takes great pleasure in reminding me how much I cried when we all thought Baloo was dead. Third part of Mo's question is a very simple one. What's my favourite takeaway? Pizza. There is no other. Next question comes from the Blame Your Brother podcast, and they ask, who would be my soulmate from any film? Now, being a Spider-Man nut, I would have to answer Gwen Stacy, and as much as I have problems with the Garfield Spider-Man movies, I think the one thing they did get absolutely right was the relationship between Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. So yeah, I would say Gwen Stacy. This question comes from Carmen, and Carmen asks, what would be my favourite film with time travel that isn't Back to the Future? That would probably be the movie Primer, Shane Carruth's first film. I think it's Carruth or Carruth. Either way, yeah, Primer. It was made for Peanuts, but it's a great movie about time travel and the consequences of time travel. It's probably what you'd call hard sci-fi. It's a very intelligent film. It's almost impenetrable sometimes, the language they use, and that was a choice by the director to do that, to just throw us into that world and have to learn it along with them. But I would highly recommend the movie Primer. And if you ever work out anything that's going on in that film, please let me know. Next question is from Keith. Keith wants to know what my favourite Christmas movie is. That's an easy one. It is Muppets Christmas Carol every single time. Absolutely adore that film. It's perfect. Mike wants to know if I'd take the red pill or the blue pill. I would take the red pill because I'm assuming it's strawberry flavoured. Next we have Video Game Basement, again with a multiple part question. So let's look at the first one. What's your worst ever Christmas present? Genuinely can't think of one. I'm one of those soppy gits who thinks that any present I get for Christmas is brilliant, and I wouldn't dare say it was a terrible present. Yes, that was a cop-out, but it's true. Second part of that question is, would I have cheese or no cheese on garlic bread? Both, depending on which mood I'm in. Third question, I'm frankly insulted you've asked me this one, but you want to know, should there be a fourth Back to the Future film? No, of course there shouldn't. It's fine, it's a perfect trilogy, leave it alone. And the last question I ask is, do you fancy doing a charity stream? Tell me what that is and I'll do it. Okay, this next one comes from Gingerbeard Mark. And Gingerbeard Mark also has asked multiple questions. There's people really taking liberties with this. Let's see what his questions are. First question he asks is, what's my favourite National Trust property? That would probably be Clent Hills, not far from here. Beautiful hills in the West Midlands with majestic views across the area. Gorgeous place, but gets very muddy when it's rainy. Second question he asks me is, how tall am I in sugar cubes? 170. Gingerbeard Mark also wants to know what my favourite milkshake flavour is, and that's strawberry. Next question is from Geeky Brahman, and they want to know what kind of video I would most like to do in 2019. Now the Geeky Brahman guys, amongst many other people, helped me make the short horror film that I made in October. I would love to make another short film, maybe even a horror, because that was so much fun. But yeah, I would definitely like to do another short fiction piece next year. Andrew Shonenburger asks, what's my favourite animated film? I have a couple. I'm a massive fan of Pixar, and of all the Pixar films, my favourite is probably Inside Out. I think it's stunning. And non-Pixar, although it's still Disney, I would say Meet the Robinsons. It's probably not on everybody's top 5 animated films list, but it's one I really, really enjoy. There's something about that film I find really touching and enjoyable. So yeah, Meet the Robinsons. Orphan Ollie wants to know, what's the one film that people go on and on about that I haven't seen? Probably Godfather Part 2. Godfather Part 1 bored the life out of me, so I'm pretty reluctant to visit the sequel. Next question's from Matt Goss. Matt Goss. Wasn't he in Bros? I bet you get that all the time, sorry Matt. Matt wants to know what I think is an underrated film. Maybe not underrated, but certainly underknown. One of my favourite films is a film called Hesher, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Rainn Wilson and Natalie Portman. It's a strange little indie drama film about a family and a man who goes into that family and creates all kinds of chaos. But yeah, it's a fantastic film. Seek it out. It's called Hesher. Taz Faye Dodge, hi Taz, wants to know which is the better film, Sister Act or Nuns on the Run? God, it's been a long time since I've seen either of those films, but in terms of which one I enjoyed most, probably Sister Act. Next question's from James Morton. He wants to know, is there any film I would never want to see remade? I'll give you a clue. Back to the Future. Don't go near it. Keep away from that film. If I ever hear rumours of a remake of that film, I will be on the first plane to California and I will kick the producer in the nuts. Not happening. Don't do it. Next question's from Rhiannon, and Rhiannon wants to know, is there a film that I will always go back to and rewatch? Yep, Back to the Future. God, these answers are all Back to the Future, aren't they? Yeah, I could watch that film 3 times a day, every day for the rest of my life and never get bored of it. In terms of other films that I like to rewatch, I think the MCU films are just eminently rewatchable. They're always rewarding, they reward repeat viewings, there's always something else to see, some joke you've missed, some Easter egg, some extra bit of scene, something you didn't see the last time you watched it. So yeah, I think the MCU films are very, very rewatchable, and I'll happily stick on an MCU film when I've got some ironing or something to do and I need to pass some time. The last question's from Nikki and Bunty, and they want to know, has doing YouTube changed me in any way? Yeah, I guess it has. It's enabled me to learn quite a few new skills I didn't have before, namely filming, editing, recording sound. It helped me learn how to direct a film, to which degree of success is kind of up to you. It's also put me in touch with some new and now very close friends from whom I get a hell of a lot of support and advice, and I'll always be grateful for that. So yeah, YouTube has changed my life a lot, and for that I am very, very grateful, and I'm very, very grateful for all of you who watch my videos, talk to me on Twitter, support me on Patreon, and all the lovely stuff you do. You've really made this year very, very important and special to me, and I will always be grateful. There you go, that's all your questions. Thanks ever so much for sending them in. Come over and see me on Twitter at Jaws19show. Please don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I release on a pretty much weekly basis, generally videos all to do with cinema and bits and bobs. I've got some really, really exciting guests coming up on the channel soon. Some big names, so please watch this space. And yeah, I will see you on the next one. Bye!